This is Christian, a product manager at Autodesk. I'm working on Tinkercad and I'm here to show you what's new with Tinkercad Classrooms this year. The big news is that we've moved all of the moderate tools into Tinkercad Classrooms. So if you go back to your moderate page, what you're used to, you'll see that nothing's here. It's all been moved over to Classrooms. All of your groups and your students are still intact. They're just over on classes. One other note is that we've retired the approval code that everybody was using here on this page as well. Now we're using class links or codes instead of the approval code. So let's go over to the classrooms. Now, you can see I already have classes here and I have a bunch of them all set up. But let's say you don't have classes here and you don't have access to this page. Well, you need to identify yourself when you log into Tinkercad as an educator. And you can do that when you sign up. So I'll show you how that works. If I click Join Now, and you're joining for the first time, you can say Educator Start Here. And this will really, right off the bat, assign you as a teacher role in Tinkercad if you sign up this way. So you come in and say, I'm an educator, and you read the terms of service, and you agree with the children's privacy policy, and you say, I agree. If you already have an account or you log in through Google, you can do this through your profile. So in this case, you can come here, let's say you're already logged in and you don't see the classes yet, you can come to your profile and you can say that you're a teacher here, and you'll have the same checkbox to say you agree to the terms of service and that you've read the children's privacy statement. So once you go through that, you'll be defined as a teacher and see this classes menu up here. So let's click classes. Now I have many classes here. If you don't have any classes, you can click to create a new class. And this will allow you to type in your Tinkercad class name, specify which grade you're teaching, and the subject. Okay, and when you type that in, you see that that class has been added here. Okay. Some things you can do is you can go into the properties, and what you can do is edit this information. You can also delete the classroom. Now when you click to delete this, we give you a little message here that the class seats will be removed. And a little bit more on class seats in a bit. Those are the seats that the teacher creates. They're not really accounts that the student creates. The teacher creates these and owns these seats. So when they delete a class, the seats will be deleted too. When there are accounts in the class, such as students signing in with Google, the account is not deleted. It's just that student is removed from the class and put into the unassigned class. So I'll go ahead and close this. Some of you coming from the moderate page may have students that are not in a group, and so now they're classes, and what you're able to do is add those students from this bucket into any class that you may have. Let's take a look at a class view. So here I'll come into this Tinkercad class and take a look. And you can see that I have a mix of account types here. I have seats, I can sort that, seats, under 13 account, and a regular account, which is age 13 plus. And they sign in with their credentials, either it be, in this case, this elder tinkerer signs in through Google, this younger tinkerer maybe signs in with using Autodesk credentials. This seat has not signed in, you can see, and the rest of these seats have signed in and added their avatar. Now, what a seat is, again, is it's an access point for a student to join your class. It's something the teacher sets up and owns. So to do that, to create these seats, you could say, come in here and then enter a name, and it doesn't have to be any personal information really. It can just be anything you want that'll help you identify it. And then you can edit the nickname, which you might want to make a little bit more cryptic than that, but the student does have to remember this bit. So if I click Save Changes, I've added this student here. So all the student needs to get into this class is the class link and this nickname that I've created. It's not very hard to know this one. So let me join here. What I'm going to do is, if I'm the teacher, I'm going to give this student a class link, and I can find the class link in this button. If I click class code, I can either copy the code or the link. I'll copy the link and share this, say in Google Classroom or in some sort of LMS that you're using with your school. And then if I give this to the student, say I'm the student over here, let me join my class, or actually I could just come in Tinkercad, click that link. Let's say I clicked it from Google Classroom, and here I end up here, and it shows me, oh, you want to join this Tinkercad class? What's your nickname? And the teacher also needs to provide that to the student. And I'll enter this one that I just created, and that's it. I'm in. So all I needed was the class link and that nickname. That is a class seat. The class seat is now in here and can start designing. So I'll go ahead and just create a really quick design just so you can see. Now I have a design as a class seat. So let's move this over to the side. You saw me do that. I just had to do that really quick so that you can see this next bit. All right, back in my Tinkercad class, I can see that my student has joined. I just refreshed the page to see that his avatar is now blue, and I can click in there if I so desire to go see what my student has created. Now, if I want to have under 13 accounts that are restricted or regular accounts join my class, all I have to do is just give them the same class link. So the class link is everybody's ticket into a Tinkercad class. You can send this on your school's LMS, usually it's Google Classroom. So here's a typical example of signing in and using the class link. So I'll sign in with Google here. So here I sign in with Google, and I can just follow that class link once I've signed in, and I'm in this class, and all I have to do is click that's me. I've already joined this class with this account, but this is the same workflow. So they say that's me, and then I'm in your class. So just a little bit on the access and the login info. I'm able as a teacher to come in and edit the login info, which for the seat is that nickname we talked about. I can come in here and say, change that, and the student will need that to be able to get in. That plus the class link. So they click the link and then they'll need to enter this new nickname to get in. So if you have somebody who's having a hard time getting in, or you want to lock them out, you can just change this and help them either way. For the accounts, you're able to change their password, which they use for their proper password. And here you could type it in, and that's what they'll use to log into Tinkercad. The accounts, which are 13 plus, are what we consider adult accounts, so we don't offer the option to change their password. So I've shown you how you can click into each student to see what they've designed. And this is great, but maybe you want to have a bird's eye view of what your class is doing. And for that, we've introduced the Designs tab. The Designs tab shows the designs of all of the students in your class, sorted by most recent. So you can see here's the one I just created with that student seat, and then these are the in sequential order, the latest designs my class has made, all the different students in here. Okay, so that's a bird's eye view of what's happened in your class. These are designs, these are circuits of all my students in that class. Just that class, not all of your classes you may have, but just that particular class. And these are code blocks and lessons, okay? To double click on that a bit, you can go into the activity tab and see just the activity for your class. So not only do you see what designs have been created, but also the likes and comments. So you can see some of the comments somebody in my class has made. Here, I can ban it or restore it. So if I ban it, this comment goes away from the gallery and nobody will see it. However, I can also restore it. I can do likewise with likes, and I can also ban or edit the designs that my students create. So that's all under the activity tab. You can use these three tabs to keep an eye on what your students are up to. Let's look at moving students around. You cannot move these seats. Again, I'll sort by the type here. You cannot move seats out of the class into your other classes. You can, however, move these accounts under 13 accounts and accounts to other classes. You could add them to a class here. Let's put it in that class I just created, another Tinkercad class. And I'll save that. You can see that we tell you student seats cannot be moved to other classes. Let's save this. And now, if I go back to my another Tinkercad class, I have those guys here. Okay, so that's moving. I can also remove them from the class. So if I go to remove from class, I can also remove them. Okay, another feature we have in Tinkercad classes is that you can suspend students, and really all I'm referring to is these under 13 accounts. You can see this type under 13. You can suspend these students, which they're still allowed to log in, but they can't do anything. So if you suspend them, you can also unsuspend them, obviously. If you've scolded them and told them what they've done wrong, then you could say, okay, you get another chance and you can unsuspend them. Okay, so you cannot suspend regular accounts because they're adults. So we don't have that option for regular adults, and you cannot suspend seats because we may add this at some point, but you can also just do the equivalent by coming in and changing their nickname, for example. Okay, let's talk a little bit about removing students from your class and deleting students from your class. I'm going to select a couple seats here and this 13 plus account here. Now, I can perform this remove from class action on this. One thing that you should know is that seats cannot be moved outside of a class. So in this case, nothing will happen to them. They'll just stay there. But this older one, this elder tinkerer, will be removed. So you can see there that those students still exist there. Let me add that back. Let me add him back to the class. I'll go to my unassigned students where he ends up because now he's not in a class. I can add him back into the class. And there he is. Now, if I want to delete students from my class, I can select them. And instead of remove from class, I can click to delete. And this will delete all of the data associated with the seats. However, this adult account will not be deleted. So seats and under 13 accounts without another moderator will be deleted permanently. If those accounts have another moderator, they're just removed from your moderation. The adult account here will just be removed from my moderation. It won't delete any of that account's data. So I won't go through this process, but that's the logic of what happens depending on what you have selected here when you do the delete operation. And finally, let's take a look at safe mode. Safe mode is a feature in your class that you can turn on or off to shield your students from some of the public scrutiny or commenting that can happen in Tinkercad. So you can turn this off, which basically would allow your students to access and use Tinkercad like everybody else. But in safe mode, this limits their activity. So what this does for any student that's in a class in safe mode will not be able to search the public gallery. They'll only be able to search the staff favorites, which are a curated set of designs. The students in safe mode will also not be able to make their designs public, but the teacher can for them if they want. They won't be able to see or make any comments on any designs in the gallery. So safe mode will affect all in the class, including the regular accounts, the under 13 accounts and accounts. As soon as they join a class and the class is in safe mode, they'll be put into safe mode. So that you want to be careful with that. If this were an adult, I might want to take them out of safe mode so that they can still see the gallery and they can make comments and they can make their designs public. So safe mode is an extra layer of protection for your students in your class. For those of you with a long list of students in the class, you can also use this search widget up here. As soon as you type in 2 letters, it'll narrow down the result so that you can find your students easily. And this is something we have, which searches within your class. So that's it for this update on Tinkercad Classrooms. If your students are joining as your created student seats, all they have to do is click that link, enter the nickname, and then they're in. If they're signing in with Google or a Tinkercad account, they can click to sign in as they normally would in Tinkercad, then click the class link, and then they're in. We're going to refine this process so it's easier and easier, but this seems pretty straightforward for now. Stay tuned for some updates we'll be making to make onboarding your students into Tinkercad Classroom even easier. So thanks for watching.